the game. You don't play it, just play it. Come after me. I'm a man. I'm for you. Can't wait. Let's go.
Good morning and welcome to Coffee and Sports. It's the morning show here on Sports Empire Network. Thank you for listening and watching, however it is that you are doing that today, whether you are live on Facebook or whether you are over parts of Northeast Streaming Sports watching us live on Roku TV this morning. We appreciate your support and we appreciate you being here. I am Chris and that is Mo. Mo, how are you this morning, sir?
Doing great, Chris. Morning to everybody that's checking us out this morning on Coffee and Sports. Let's get it.
Mo, we are going to indeed get it. And what we are going to do is, Mo, we're going to start the show off talking about a return to the NFL that is actually going to happen and impact a team in an actual way. Not like the Jets think Aaron Rodgers is going to come back and save their season somehow miraculously.
Oh, the fantasy.
Right. Let's talk about a real medical miracle, and that is the fact that Dolphins cornerback Jalen Ramsey is practicing today, Mo. Less than 3 months from tearing his meniscus and having meniscus surgery. Initially, it was reported that he would be back at the end of November or early December, but he has shattered that recovery time. He will not be playing Sunday in Philadelphia, but it appears that they are trying to potentially target him to play next week, which means that he will be available for the Kansas City game in 2 weeks. Mo, for a defense that is average, that's what Miami's defense is right now. They're average. I think that this is going to be a big boost for a team that is already boasting the number one offense in the league. To get Ramsey back in the backfield to pair with Howard, who is also going through an injury right now. He has a groin injury. I think this is really going to help out the Dolphins defense. What are your thoughts, sir?
I think it's a big impact move. If he gets healthy, what it gives you is it gives you a playmaker on the defensive side of the football. It also allows the defensive coordinator to change up your coverages. Ramsey is capable of locking down the other team's best wide receiver, which means if they have a versatile receiving core, you can double the other guy because Ramsey can lock down the number one. Jalen Ramsey is an impact player. So I think it does a ton, not just for the Dolphins front seven. I think it boosts confidence in that secondary, having him back there. So it's going to be a huge difference to get him 100% with his ball hawking ability. Not to mention Ramsey for a cornerback, he tackles well. Not a lot of cornerbacks who are great coverage guys embrace the idea of tackling. Jalen Ramsey is a complete football player. So I love it for the Dolphins when you can impact the game on both sides. You've got playmakers on offense, and you've just added, when he gets back, a playmaker in your secondary.
And Mo, one of the things that I don't think NFL fans realize, because again, I'm not going to sit here and say the Dolphins defense is more than it is, because it is a middle of the pack defense right now. However, coming into last week, they were third in the NFL in sacks. And I believe they got Bryce Young 3 or 4 times last week. So they're top 5 in sacks coming into this week. So you look at a front 4 and a front 7 that is able to pressure the quarterback and that is able to bring down the quarterback. And now you're adding a piece into the secondary that's going to make your secondary better. And it's going to help your front guys as a result. And that was my point all along when it came to the Dolphins defense and it came to Jalen Ramsey eventually coming back. I do not believe Miami's going to have a top 5 unit this year. I think they can have a fringe top 10 unit if everything goes well. I think they're going to keep having a top 15 unit. But my point was adding Ramsey back to the secondary, you can remove what pieces they were sticking on that side of the ball right now, which weren't working. They were putting Kader Kohou out of position. They were putting Eli Apple over there, he was signed just to replace Ramsey initially, just for depth. But
you know that word. When you say Eli Apple, and I know you're a Dolphins fan, but I think you'll agree with me. It's the Steve Smith line, just a guy.
Yeah, that's exactly what Eli Apple is. But by having Ramsey over there, you can put your other defenders in more natural positions to what their strengths are. So I think it's going to help make the Dolphins defense more consistent. And I think you're going to see fewer big plays against this defense as a result, which, like I said, obviously he won't be here for the Eagles matchup Sunday night, which is going to be a big matchup for Miami. And we'll talk about that more later in the show. But it's going to be beneficial when they face Patrick Mahomes in 2 weeks. And it's going to be beneficial down the line when they face the Dallas offense and the Ravens offense and the Josh Allen and the Bills again. So that's where you're going to see the impact, Mo. But man, oh man, what a show we have today. We got Will coming on the show here in a few seconds. We're going to talk a little bit of NBA, and we are going to talk a little NFL with Will. But Mo, we got a big show planned for today. So once again, everyone who is in the comments right now, or if you're watching and you're not in the comments, please make sure you hop in there. We want to hear your thoughts this morning. Make sure you throw whatever it is that you're thinking at us. And who knows, maybe we'll respond to you. Maybe we'll talk to them, Mo.
We're always open to the conversation. We don't pretend to know everything. We're just going to express our opinions. I like to think on the morning show we're fair and balanced.
I like that. Fair and balanced is absolutely what our goal in life here is. With that in mind, let's welcome William to the morning show this morning. William, how are you, sir?
Hey, how you guys doing this morning? Thank you for having me again.
Will. Good morning,
Good morning. Thank you for having me again, guys. I appreciate y'all.
Thank you for coming. Well, always a pleasure to have you here. And let's pivot to NBA. We haven't talked NBA in a hot second here on the morning show, but this is a fair conversation that I think we kind of have as fans every time an NBA season begins. And that question is centered around, hey, I give you a franchise tomorrow. And when I give you that franchise, you can pick one player, any player you want from the league, and that is going to be your star player. And then you can build your entire franchise around that player. Obviously, since, this is a hypothetical situation and you're building a team from scratch, you're not going to pick a LeBron because he's older. You're not going to pick someone in their 30s because it's going to take you a couple of years to actually build a team around whatever player it is that you're about to take. But that's the situation. I give you a new NBA team tomorrow. You get one current player in the league, any player you want. That is going to be the future of your team that you're going to build around. Mo, let's start with you. Who would that one player be?
When you brought this up, initially I thought, well, if Chris is saying if everybody's in their prime, the answer was easy for me because you won me over in a conversation we had some time back about Steph. But this isn't that. This is where we're at currently. Currently, with everybody being where they're at the stages they're at in their careers, this is such an easy answer. So, and I'm sure we might have some disagreement, even though Giannis is my favorite player right now. If I'm starting a franchise, I'm going with Joker. And people can talk about shortcomings and saying he's not great defensively. He's not great defensively, but he's not god-awful defensively either. He competes on the defensive end of the floor, and more importantly, he dominates and controls the pace of a game from the center position. I've never seen a center control the pace of a basketball game. And his ability to shoot the ball with range, dominate in the post, and pass almost like a point guard, his facilitating ability, he elevates his teammates. And when you put him and Murray in pick and roll or pick and pop, unguardable. So to me, if I'm starting a franchise today, because of everything he does for you, especially on the offensive end, I'm going with Joker.
Will, where are you going?
Give me Dame.
Okay.
And the reason why I say that is because of what the Bulls are going through in their current struggles. You need a point guard to be able to come in there and run your offense. If you don't have a point guard that could come in and run your offense, you pretty much don't have anything. And I just think that the point guard, to me, outweighs the big, because a big you can always get size. Rather than it's good size or not is up for you to determine as a GM. But I just think that you need a point guard to run your offense in this league. So I got to go with Dame.
Let me just push
youngest
back.
guy in the world, but I will still go with Dame.
Let me just push back. I feel like you're making my point, Will. Joker is the point guard.
But the thing
Joker,
about it, though,
Joker's not.
though,
He's not one of those bigs that you have to bring the ball to, and he's sitting in the post waiting for the ball. He brings the ball up. Will he brings the ball up,
and that's true, and that's very true. But the pushback on what you're saying, the reason why I say point guard, you need somebody who could consistently not. And true, Joker does bring the ball up from time to time, but you need a point guard to always be in there, to always want to break, to always be there, to mentally think of that next step ahead on a fast break. You see the Bulls, what they do without a point guard, they're discombobulated. They don't have any leadership out there. And that's what you need from that position. You need a leader.
But
you need a leader.
But Dave's not a point guard. I know they list him as a point guard. He's basically a shooting guard. He doesn't really run an offense. He's not that kind of point guard.
But the thing about it, though, he's gonna have to do it now, and I think I think he can do it.
That's not why they brought him there. They brought him there because they want him to be able to drop 30. They brought him there because they want to take pressure off of Giannis. I'm not going to judge. I'll judge them as players, and I know what they're listed as. But the evolution of the game that we can agree on, point guards aren't point guards anymore. Kyrie Irving's not a point guard. Steph Curry's not a point guard. Damian Lillard's not a point guard. If your point guard takes 20 shots or more per game, they're not a point guard. They're shooting guards. They're undersized shooting guards. And they're terrific players. So just as players, they're great players.
But you're talking.
If you want to kind of run your offense, Dame is not that kind of point guard. You would be better off with a Drew Holiday or someone of that ilk to run your offense. Dame doesn't run the offense. Dame is a ball dominant volume scorer.
Hold on. Let me say this though. So you mean to tell me he's on an improved team, a veteran laden team,
sure,
with size at almost every position, experience in almost every position. So you telling me that his assist numbers won't go up, and some of his scoring is going to go down, not all the way down, but his assist numbers will go up.
I don't know about his scoring, but I'll take that bet. I guarantee you, I'll say at best he gives you about 7 assists, which is solid. But Damian Lillard is not that kind of point guard. His assists are not going to. Even with Giannis, his assists aren't going up.
But the Bulls ain't got 7. All I'm saying is you need a point guard to run that thing. And I like Dame. I like Dame. He's a little bit of an older dude.
Of all the point guards you could pick, that guy?
Really? Yeah, him.
I would have gone a lot of places. Even though Steph's not a pure point guard, I would have took him over Dame.
Oh, no.
No? The guy that's a culture changer is a no?
Because at the end of the day, at the end of the day, and this is just my opinion, based on what I've seen, at the end of the day, Steph is a tremendous shooter. I will never discredit him for being a tremendous shooter. I will never say that he's not. He helped change the game. I will give him credit all the way through. But I just like the way that Dame, he's intelligent. He's very smart. He can see the open lane. He can get the job done at the point guard position. And not only do you get that, if somebody gets doubled along the way, Dame can hit the open jumper.
I know. Well, here's the thing.
So I'm just saying.
Steph averages the same amount of assists as Dame does, and he shoots the ball at a much higher level. And everything you described about Dame, he's intelligent, he's smart. Isn't that Steph Curry? Isn't that Steph Curry?
But again,
Dame is playing with house money. Will he's never played with pressure?
But for Golden State, who brings the ball up the majority of the time?
Sure,
Draymond.
Draymond's a point forward, but I'm just talking about
Draymond brings the ball up, not Steph.
Right, but I'm talking about
majority of the time.
What he averages. He brings the ball up, but Steph still averages 7 assists a game. You know, it is what it is. Look, I'm not telling you. We're guys. We can disagree. I don't dislike Damian Lillard, but I'll put it out there. He is playing on a team that's expected to win everything for the first time in his career, and it's a pressure that he's never had to endure. I just want to see how he holds up under that pressure.
And I'm one of the few people. Well, I can't say the few, but I think he'll hold up just fine. I think he'll adjust. I think he'll be able to go out there and be a good teammate. Pass the ball to the open man, hit the open jumper when everybody else gets double, or as the main person gets double. And he's an older dude, but I think he can get it done.
Now, Will, I value what you just said, but remember, you're starting a brand new franchise.
Right.
Damian Lillard is 33 years old. Your team isn't even going to be in a position to compete for anything for a couple of years.
But
So Dame's
understand
going to
this.
be 35 at that point.
But understand this. You just said the key word. You said build. Not win now, but build. And I value that point guard position over anything else, because without that point guard position, without that leadership, you don't have much of a starting five. You don't have much of a team that goes out there. You can have a DeMar DeRozan. You can have Zach LaVine. Those guys are talented. You can have the Vucevic. Those guys are tremendously talented, but there's no leadership out there. There's no point guard out there that you have to fear. And that's the other thing I like about Dame. You have to fear Dame, because if you lay off him, you're going to hit an open jumper. He could drive right past you. And you said build. So that means you're going to have other players around him that can be tailored to what he does. So you can go out there and get you a good shooting guard to make sure when if he has an off night for whatever reason, you got a good shooting guard out there. You got a good small forward. You got a good big man. You got a couple of good big men out there to help patrol the lanes, block shots, get rebounds, pass it out to the open man, and carry the offense. Again, that's the key word in this build. And
yeah, but that's kind of a hope, right? Like you're starting your franchise off. Like, let's say you're the Charlotte Hornets, and and you're like, we're a brand new team, and we've gotten the rights to Damian Lillard at age 33. We don't have star players. We're raw. We're building around a 33-year-old. All I'm saying is, if you build around a 33-year-old, by the time you're any good, he's not going to be any good.
But the thing about it is, he gets you to that point, and then
he's
once
going to get you to the lottery, he's going to get you to the lottery.
But what I'm saying is that he's experienced enough. If you draft correctly, and I'm assuming we talking about us being GMs, is what the question is saying.
Sure.
And we know basketball. If we know basketball, we know how to put him the proper players, so he'll be in the best position to at least get your team to be a playoff team. And then if he decides to retire or step down, you're in a position, maybe in free agency or maybe draft wise, to get somebody else younger in there to take that spot. That's what I'm saying. You want to establish yourself, and I think Dame can establish you. Once he establishes you, then you can move from there.
I got two questions to pivot here, gentlemen. First question is this: why didn't he just stay in Portland then? Isn't that what Portland needs right now? Portland's in a rebuild. Wouldn't by your definition, isn't Dame exactly what they need for their rebuild?
But there's a difference though. He didn't want to be there. He'll be there for me, but he didn't want to be there for Portland. That's the difference. He didn't want to be there. That's the main difference. If you want to be there, I'm quite sure he would have stayed. He didn't want to be there. So that's the difference in all this. As you said, it's Portland, the same position I'm describing, but he doesn't want to be there. And that's the difference.
And my second question is, Mo, during all of this, a few different names were mentioned. I'll tell you one name that wasn't mentioned, someone who is younger than all of these guys, someone who is revered. Now, I'm gonna use this lightly, gentlemen. So I'm gonna say he's revered by his fans as a piece to build around.
Lord, I think I know where you're going.
And that is Jason Tatum. Why would you not build your team around Jason Tatum, Mo?
Because I question if he's that guy. I have questions about that.
I think Tatum's, no question, he's a top 5 player. And I don't even doubt he's a top 5 talent. There's just been moments. He's had these moments where you thought he's turned the corner. This is it. He's found it. And then he'll turn around and have those moments where he just kind of disappears and he fades. And I don't know if he's more superstar or if he's an all-star who's had superstar moments. And
he's kind of got the same problem like Zach LaVine. He's not consistent from time to time. He's not there when you need him the most. And that's why I question if he's that guy.
So I have no problem with no one mentioning Jason Tatum. He has led his team to an NBA Finals as the best player. So this isn't a question of his ability. I'm just saying that if I'm choosing, and we're talking about building, to me, the more sure bets are Giannis or Joker. That's just me.
Yep.
And also, no one mentioned Wemby. William?
Oh, hell, not right now.
Okay.
No.
If you're going age, he might be the best youngest option.
If you
He
go,
might be.
if you go on age, I guess I got you. I mean, you know, I still want to see what Chet's going to end up doing, but you know, because Chet's there too. But
Yep.
you know, I don't know, man.
I want to see what they both end up doing.
Yeah,
like what we know for sure is tons of potential. Both super young. That doesn't guarantee they're going to be franchise players. You can make a better case for Anthony Edwards than those.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I forgot about him. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys, let's pivot to an NFL conversation before we let Will get out of here. What we're going to do is we're going to go through every single division. I'm going to tell you who is leading that division right now. And all you are going to do is you're going to tell me, will they win the division at the end of the season? We are 1/3 of the way through the NFL season currently. So we are finally starting to see teams take shape. We are understanding what teams actually are compared to what we thought they were going into the season. And while some data is still incomplete, I think we have reached a point in the season where we can finally start saying, okay, I was right about this. I was wrong about that. I was surprised about this, and start figuring out where we might be another 6 weeks from now. So we will start in the NFC, and we will start in the NFC East with the Philadelphia Eagles, who are 5-1. They lead their division over Dallas, who is 4-2, Washington, who is 3-3, and the abysmal New York Giants at 1-5. Will, we're going to start with you. Is Philadelphia going to hang on to win that division at the end of the season?
I think they fixed their offensive and their defensive woes. Again, people forget they started the season with 2 new coordinators. People forget that. So I think they do go ahead and win that division outright. I think they split with Dallas. I think Dallas might get them at home, but no, I think it's Phillies to lose.
Mo?
Yeah, I think we're looking at a Eagles team that's a 12 or 13 win team. And I actually don't think they split with Dallas. I kind of think they own Dallas. I don't think that's going to be a problem. Dallas will still make the playoffs, but even with their offensive woes, we are talking about one of the top 5 defenses. And for a team that's still waiting for its offense to come alive, they're still winning football games 9 times out of 10. Even the game that they lost, they had a chance to win that football game. So this is a very good football team. It's clearly the best team in the NFC East, so I expect them to win.
And after they roll Dallas for a second time, Jerry Jones is going to come out and be like, well, hey, we just had 2 bad games. Everyone has 2 bad games. We just had 2 bad games. All right. You're allowed 2 bad games.
The only reason why I think they split because it's a rivalry, and you never know what happens in a rivalry. So that's why I said I think they end up splitting because you never know. You never know. Plus, injuries might play a factor in this as well. Because I still think Tony Pollard ain't right. Because you haven't seen the burst from him this season. I still think something's going on with that.
I think the offensive line is not right.
Yeah.
Over in the NFC West, we have the 49ers at 5-1, the Seahawks at 3-2, the Rams are a surprising 3-3, and the Cardinals are in the basement at 1-5. Mo, are the Niners going to hang on to win their division?
I believe they will. Their chief competition obviously is the Seahawks. Provided we can stay relatively healthy, yes, the Niners are going to find a way. I think another 12, 13 win team, they're going to win that division.
Will?
I think Geno has regressed. He's not the same Geno that we saw last year. I think he's really regressed. He only has 1-2 touchdowns on the season. So I think
I ain't gonna kill Geno. I don't want to kill him, but has he regressed or has he come back to being old
Geno?
Right. Is he back to being his regular self?
I didn't want to disrespect him like that, Mo. That's why I said regress, but you might be, I think he's going back to being Geno. But yeah, I think he's going back to being Geno. Don't trust any other team in that division. So I think it's the 49ers. It's going to be interesting though, because I do want to see what what Purdy can do without Debo. I think you're going to see I get a lot of those opportunities.
In the NFC North, we have another 5-1 team in the Detroit Lions. The rest of the division is under 500, Packers, Vikings, and Bears. William, does any of them catch the Lions?
No, I think Detroit, that defense, that front seven, at least in the run game, is just outstanding. And Goff has showed you a lot this season. You can make a case that he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFC. And it just goes to show you when you invest in somebody just a little bit, just have a little bit of faith in somebody, that can carry him through. So I think no one catches Detroit. That team is too good and they're too motivated. Hats off to that head coach.
5-1 Lions, Mo. Is it theirs for the taking?
It is theirs for the taking. And I really think that Jared Goff, this is like a great redemption story to me. The Rams got rid of him. They cast him away. Thought he was done. Thought he couldn't be that guy. And he's kind of become the steadying force on that team. They have a great front four. I like all the talent they have on both sides of the football, but Jared Goff, that's their clear and cut leader, and he's played well. I mean, good for him. You know what happened? Jared Goff he's gotten to get the makeover in his career that Kirk Cousins never did.
No, that's a great point. Great point.
And you see the man walked into a situation with weapons.
Mm-hmm. And that's the biggest and most underrated talking point in the NFL. What are you going to put around your quarterback? Because look at Patrick Mahomes this season. When you don't have elite weapons around you, even the most elite quarterback doesn't look like they should. And you take Goff, who is an average to a good quarterback, and you put weapons and talent around him, and he's leading a 5-1 team right now with a great defense.
That is correct.
Gentlemen, we have the NFC South, which is my favorite division.
The most entertaining division.
It is the most entertaining thing the NFL has going on. I love it. Right now, the Buccaneers are 3-2. The Falcons are 3-3. The Panthers are 3-3. Let's just say the Saints are 3-3. The Panthers are 0-6, so we'll discount them. William, do the Bucs at 3-2 win this thing, or is it the Falcons or the Saints? Because they're all basically the same.
I do. And I speak this being a Saints fan, but I'm a realistic Saints fan. And the one thing I'm not liking to see, this offensive line that we have is terrible.
Awful.
And it's awful. God awful. And these guys have an issue scoring in the red zone, getting touchdowns. Baker Mayfield seems to be resurgent in what he's doing. That defense in Tampa Bay is still good too. So and I hate to say this being a Saints fan, but Tampa might just go on and win that thing.
Mo, you riding with Baker?
Normally I'd say no. Normally I would say no. But because the Saints haven't been what we thought they would be really overall, man, I really think that, you know what? I'm going to go with Baker Magic. I think they find a way to gut it out. I don't think whoever wins this division, they might not necessarily win 10 games. They might win 10 games, or they might just get by with 9 games. But I'm going to take the Bucs to win the division.
And guys, something that's absolutely wild, right here in this conversation, none of you discussed Atlanta. One of the headlines this morning over on NFL.com is whether or not the Atlanta Falcons should bench their starting quarterback. This is a team that is 3-3. They're basically tied for the division lead.
Well, understand this. Even though Ritter has looked better, you look at some of those throws and you're wondering what the hell is he doing? So, that's why you'll see that. And Heineke,
every time he turns it over. No, every time he turns it over, they always flash to the Falcons owner. You can just see the agony in his eyes.
Agony of defeat in his face. Yeah. But Heineke has shown that he's gotten it done. He's been a winning quarterback. So maybe with Heineke in there, you can finally see Drake London get more run. Jonnu Smith has come out of nowhere this season. So shout out to him. And maybe Kyle Pitts can
somebody throw the ball to Kyle Pitts. Throw the ball to Kyle Pitts.
Yes.
Throw the ball to him or trade him to somewhere where he will throw him the football.
Yes. So maybe Kyle Pitts can finally get some run under Heineke.
I actually have him on my fantasy team too, so I'm just saying.
I got Pitts on a few too.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Over in
the agony.
We have the AFC East. The Dolphins are 5-1. The Bills are 4-2. The Jets are a surprising 3-3, and the Patriots are in the basement at 1-5. Mo, do the Dolphins hang on, or do the Bills or the Jets come from behind and take the division?
So I'm going to be consistent because we talked about this long before the season started, and I said if Tua can stay upright, the Dolphins are going to win the division. That's what I believed. I'm going to stick with that. They will have some games that they'll lose, but ultimately I think they're the best team in that division, and the offense by far is the most explosive offense in the NFL. I also think getting back Ramsey is going to solidify that secondary, and they're going to be better on both sides of the football. So I'm still going to say the Dolphins win that division.
Wait a minute. We can finally get rid of Burt Toast, Eli Apple.
About time. It's about time.
Just another guy.
Well, I don't know if he's cleaning out his locker like today, knowing it's coming. Like, I don't know if he's going to be like aware and understand what's coming down the line, or he's going to be like false hope, but he needs to go.
He got to go. He got to go. He can't cover. He got to go.
And I think Tyreek should be the one to cut him.
That would be hilarious. Real quick, I think Miami keeps his top spot. I think they're doing great keeping Tua upright with that running game, man. Oh my gosh. And they got guys back there. Mostert, A-Chain when he comes back. Wilson is on his way back. So they have a running game that can really keep him upright and healthy. And that defense is starting to play better with Bradley Chubb and the boys. So yeah, I gotta go with Miami.
Shout out to the Dolphins offensive line because they've been getting it done.
And they do not have a lot of names there.
Now,
Teron Armstead is injured again. Will, you know about that life?
Yeah. And I want to say this, real quick. Leonard Fournette looks to be visiting the Bills this week.
Mm-hmm.
So if he can sign with the Bills, maybe they have a running game. Because everybody was talking about James Cook, and James Cook hasn't really been that dude. So maybe Leonard Fournette can finally be the running back that keeps Josh Allen back in the pocket more.
Well, it's really up to Stephon Diggs. I mean, Stephon Diggs will kind of dictate how many carries he gets and how it affects his targets. So really, it's up to Diggs what kind of impact Fournette would have.
So
you know,
that's so true.
Yo, he the GM.
He's the offensive coordinator.
Basically.
That's better.
Basically. In the AFC West, the Chiefs are 5-1. The Raiders are 500. Everyone else is below. Mo, I'm assuming you're going to roll with the Chiefs, but hey, maybe the Raiders can do something. I don't know.
Yeah, no. But Raider fans, I'm not hammering because I actually think, considering what you have, your team has represented itself well. They've been competitive. They've shown some fight. So I'm not dismissing their effort, even with their offensive struggles and the lack of explosiveness on the outside. I'm going to always roll with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. They will find a way. It might not be pretty at times, but they are by far the best team in that division.
Yeah, I got to agree. The Chiefs are the best team in that division. I agree with Moto. The Raiders have been fighting, even with Devontae being hurt and trying to deal with that shoulder injury. They have been fighting, and they do have some talent on that roster. So, but I just think Kansas City eventually, particularly with the way that defense is playing right now. I wonder if they get Frank Clark back.
That's what I'm wondering.
They get Frank Clark back.
Yep.
But that defense is playing well. Is carrying them for sure. Maybe Rice and Kadarius Toney can get that together so they can have a passing game. But yeah, I think that's Kansas City's division.
Or maybe they make a move and get a wide receiver. Still, the trade deadline. Why not? You need a playmaker. A little help for Kelsey and Mahomes. Make that move. You're in the middle of your run, of your championship run right now. So you put everything on what's happening right now.
Exactly.
And like you guys said, the Raiders are holding it together. Not only has Devontae Adams been injured, but they've had quarterback issues. Garoppolo's been in and out of the lineup. They've had, I believe his last name is O'Connell, has been coming in and out to help, much like what's happening in Indianapolis right now. Indianapolis is also 3-3 while having quarterback issues. Their starter, the young rookie, is potentially done for the season. In the AFC South, though, it is the Jaguars, William, at the top of the division at 4-2, but the Colts and Texans are right behind at 3-3. Tennessee is at the bottom at 2-4. Do the Jags hang on, or does someone catch them?
I give the Jags by default. That talent on offense and the defense is coming along. It's up and coming. But that talent on offense, I just think is too good. Trevor Lawrence is playing okay. He's starting to come around a little bit. He had a couple of touchdowns last Sunday. You look at Christian Kirk, love Christian Kirk. You look at the rest of that squad, Travis Etienne, that team is too talented. They're well coached. So I think that they will overcome their offensive woes and go ahead and hold on to win that division.
And Will, to your point, if you watch Jaguar games, the offense goes through Kirk. It doesn't go through Calvin Ridley. And Calvin Ridley might be your more stereotypical number one wide receiver. But if you look at the way that offense jives and when that offense gets moving, Kirk is the one that's more involved than Ridley is.
Yes.
And I think that people who don't watch Jaguar football don't understand that. They just think that Ridley is the default one option.
Ooh, it's Kirk.
It's Kirk that offense moves through.
Yep.
Mo, are you riding with Jacksonville or is someone going to catch him?
I'm where Will is. I think the Jaguars win by default. I always go with the formula: quarterback-driven league. They've got the best quarterback in the division. They have the most offensive talent overall. I will say this though: with the Texans, with young Mr. Stroud, with DeMeco Ryans and that defense ever improving, I think the Texans make it interesting. But I'm going to go with the Jags.
That line needs to get better though, and because you see Dameon Pierce isn't doing what he did last season, so I think the line needs to continue to get healthy. I know they got some injuries amongst the offensive line. I think they need to get healthy, start getting that running game going, because eventually a young quarterback's best friend is a great running game, and they got guys back there in the backfield that can do it. But that line just got to continue to get healthy, so they can run the football.
And my second favorite division in the NFL, and it might be the most competitive, is the AFC North. The Ravens are 4-2, but everybody else is right there behind them. The Steelers are 3-2, the Browns are 3-2, and the Bengals are last in the division, but they're 3-3. Mo, do the Ravens and Lamar hang on, or does all the talent behind them someone pick them off later on in the season?
So I'm going to go with the law. I go with the law of averages. It is tough, but if Joe Burrow's rounding into form, if the Bengals are winning ugly games and they're not really right where they want to be, I'm going to pick the Bengals to walk them down. I'm going to pick the Bengals not just to walk them down. And I don't wish ill on anybody, but the way that the Ravens are playing, it looks like the typical Ravens offense. Everything is on Lamar's shoulders. And I just think eventually when you do that, you put your QB at risk, especially that type of QB. And I'm not really overwhelmed with their receiving game, and not because of the offensive coordinator. I'm just looking at OBJ, and he looks done. He looks toast. Like he can't get any separation. And look, we weren't expecting him to be the dominant receiver he was at his peak with the Giants, but when he was with the Rams, he was still a legit threat. And I don't think he's even that player right now. So I just think that because the NFL is like a war of attrition, I think the Bengals walk the Ravens down.
Will?
I think, and I agree with more on the Ravens. Everything is on Lamar. Your best receiver right now is a rookie in Zay Flowers. And I love Zay Flowers' talent, but you're not getting much out of OBJ. You're not getting much out of Bateman. Where is Mark Andrews in this offense? He's been nowhere to be found for the most part. So I got to go with Cincinnati as well. Burrow looks to be playing well. Joe Mixon looks to be getting it together. And you're getting T. Higgins back. So you got the second best wide receiver in the league, in my opinion. And the defense is starting to come around as well. So I got to go with Cincinnati chasing them down.
Just out of curiosity, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Mo.
Just out of curiosity, because I don't hear nobody say this. So you think Jamar Chase is the second best receiver? Who's the number one receiver in your opinion?
When he's healthy, Justin Jefferson.
And I know a lot of people are going to say that's who it is. I don't know if that's you know what?
I get where you're coming from with that.
He's number one, but the receiver that's the most feared receiver in football, he actually plays for the Dolphins. That's the most feared receiver in football.
That's true.
And I know that there are better route runners. I'm not here to debate the nuances. You can tell me Justin Jefferson has a bigger route tree. I'm not arguing that. But I'm talking about the guy that makes you literally have to change your coverages and how you play the Miami Dolphins. And I'm not trying to pump up Chris's head because he's a Dolphins fan. I'm literally saying,
stop, Mo. It's okay.
The only reason why I say
I'm just saying that. Isn't Tyreek Hill the most feared guy, though, right?
He may be. I think he's the most feared, but I don't think he's the best. I think he's the most feared guy because you're right. You do have to adjust to what he does out there on the football field. But when you go out and look at somebody who A is as young as he is, B, people that you also have to game plan around as well in that particular offense, and the potential that he brings you. Oh my goodness, the potential. That's why I picked Justin Jefferson as number one.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's a bad pick. I'm just saying it's interesting because the argument people make is Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase have a bigger route tree, right? They're better route runners. I'm not even arguing if that's the case.
Right.
What's amazing is that Tyreek Hill isn't as good a route runner, and he's still just as scary doing the routes that you know what I'm saying? Like that's amazing in itself. That's all. That's all I'm pointing out.
I think what they have over Tyreek is their size. They have an aspect to their game that Tyreek doesn't. Tyreek can't go up and get a 50-50 ball. Now, Tyreek will go up and he will knock away a 50-50 ball, but Tyreek's not going to go up and win those 50-50 balls because he's not built that way. Right. And that's an element to the game that you want your traditional number one receiver to be that guy where you throw it to the corner of the end zone and half the time or 60% of the time he pulls it down. Totally just because he's got the body, he's got the size. You know, Tyreek does his own things. Tyreek takes the top off better than anybody else. You know, Tyreek will take a 6-yard catch and turn it into 85 because he put 3 guys in the mixer. And that isn't necessarily, you know, Chase's game. Chase isn't out there running circles around people. He does it a little bit different. So, and I think that's where the comparison is with the 3 of them. But let me tell you, if you got one of them, one of those 3, you're looking pretty good.
You're in good shape. You're in good shape, and he's the reason when he's healthy, Waddle's better than what he is because of what Tyreek does on that side.
Yeah, look, hey, no question. Look, Jamar Chase is actually my favorite wide receiver. He is. I watch him and how quick he is in and out of his breaks, in his hands, and his footwork. The kid is a monster.
And Jamar and Justin too. If you look at them in their stance, they don't give you anything as receivers. They don't give a DB nothing. They're gonna make sure that you don't push them to the outside. They're gonna make sure they get their route in. Whether if they start in and make you lose and make you respect that inside route, they're quick enough to cut it back if they have to. So that's what I like about both of them.
What's cool about Justin Jefferson is he has the physicality of a Michael Irvin in his prime, but he's got the speed of a Tyreek Hill to pull away from people.
Yep.
Well, before we get you out of here, let me ask this question. Sure. If Tyreek's on pace right now for 2,300 yards receiving this season, let's say he goes over 2,000 and he breaks the record. Is that enough to get him MVP over a quarterback? Because let's be honest, it's a quarterback award.
It is.
And even in Cooper Kupp's great season, there was noise about him potentially making an MVP run. I think he got some votes, but it really wasn't that close. But if you have a wide receiver literally have the greatest season a wide receiver has ever had, is that enough? Because if it's not, and if you say no, then there really isn't anything else a wide receiver could realistically do at that point to take the MVP home.
That's so tough, though.
And it is tough. Because remember, as great as Tyreek Hill is, and I'm with you, if he does 2,000 plus yards, double-digit touchdowns, I'm not arguing that. But
I'm not saying he won't win.
What they're going to look at, they're going to also say, well, look at Tua's numbers, right? Won't Tua be in the conversation as well, right? Tua's probably going to have, 35, 40 touchdowns?
And that's the tough part, because if a wide receiver is doing that, someone's throwing them the ball.
Exactly. That's all I'm saying.
Let's look at the rest of that team, too. Is he doing it by himself or does he have help?
Right.
So that's tough. Ooh, that's tough. I won't want to be the guy to decide that.
No wide receiver's been able to do it. This could be history in the making, but it's never gone that way, right? You led with we know to be true. It is a quarterback-driven league. It is a quarterback award. I hate to say this, but I feel like Tyreek Hill would almost have to get 2,500 yards. Something so insane to where they'd be like,
boggling.
Right.
But he got to put up mad numbers.
It'd have to be yes.
All right. Well, pleasure as always having you here on the show on Wednesdays.
Appreciate
we love
you,
having you, and we'll see you next
week. Thank you, guys. Y'all have a great day out there. Take care.
Mo, always a pleasure having Will here on the show. What we're going to do right now is we're going to take a quick break. When we come back from our break, we're going to look at the best and the worst records in the NFL, Mo, and we're going to decide who really is the best team in the NFL right now and who really is the worst team. That's on the other side of the break right here on Coffee and Sports. It's the morning show here on Sports Empire Network.
Hey guys, it's Pavel the Cat.
And Evan Rev Reynolds.
And we are Two Guys in Hockey Talk. We are here every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time to talk all things hockey. What are we talking about, Evan?
We talk KHL, AHL, ECHL, every HL hockey league you can think about, prospects, juniors, even the professional women's hockey league.
Yeah, we love it. And we have a website, Two Guys in Hockey Talk. So give us a follow. We got articles on all things related to hockey, and we're writing all throughout the season. So make sure you tune in. We're also on X or Twitter. You can find me at hockey_2, and
you can follow me at RevanEv. Or you can also go to twoguysandhockeytalk.com to follow everything.
We love hearing from you guys, so make sure you tune in, comment, like, give us a follow on our Facebook and YouTube page. We love hearing from you guys, and it's a blast talking all things hockey, right, Evan?
Hey, man, it is. So, as we say every show, in the meantime and in between time,
keep your sticks on the ice. Cheers.
Cheers.
Welcome back to Coffee and Sports. It's the morning show here on Sports Empire Network. And Mo, right now we are going to talk about the best team in the NFL and the worst team in the NFL, but we are going to do it based on record. So if we take the worst current record in the NFL, I'm going to throw the Panthers out of the conversation because they're the only winless team. So they're allowed to be a part of the one-win conversation. So the Panthers are 0-6, so they'll be in the conversation along with the one-win teams. And the one-win teams are the New England Patriots, the Denver Broncos in the AFC, the New York Giants, the Arizona Cardinals, and the Chicago Bears. So we have the Giants, the Cardinals, the Bears, the Panthers, the Broncos, and the Patriots. Those are the 6 that you have to choose from. Who is the worst team in the NFL today?
Denver Broncos. I have to go with the Denver Broncos because of the expectations they had coming into the season. Now, we didn't say they were going to go to the Super Bowl, but the expectations were Sean Payton was going to come in and they were going to improve upon what they were last season. The season that they're having right now, they wish they had the season they had last season. That's how bad they are. With the expectations, with Russell Wilson, with Sean Payton, for them to be 1-5, for somebody to have hung 70 points on them, like they are the worst. I know the record. I know Carolina is the worst by record, but at least when you look at Carolina, they're a young team. The future's ahead of them. Denver has invested almost $500 million between the head coach and the quarterback. They're married. They may get divorced, but it's going to be expensive. For them to be as bad as they are, for that defense to go from top 5 to 30-31, that's just a horrendous turnaround. And that speaks to leadership up top, GM, head coach, defensive coordinator. I don't know how Vance Joseph still has a job. Maybe he's just a really good guy. But for them to have the letdown that they're having, and look, they're 1-5, Chris. They may very well finish 1-15 or something like that. Like, they're that bad. And I thought, if nothing else, Sean Payton comes in and the offense would go up a notch. And numbers-wise, yes, Russell Wilson has been better. But the offense doesn't score points. They move the ball up and down the field, but they're terrible in the red zone. And I put that on their offensive coordinator, which I'm sure is Sean Payton by default. To me, they're by far the worst team because of the expectations they came into the season with.
And let's not forget, at 1-5, their only win came over another one of the teams that was in consideration for this honor from you, Mo, the Chicago Bears. And that was a game where they were down by 2 or 3 scores at one point, and they had to come back against the Bears defense to put themselves in a position to get their first and only win of the season.
The Bears gave that away.
Correct.
They should be 0-6.
They should be 0-6. And despite that, I still wouldn't go with the Bears because I would put the Bears second as the second worst team in the league. And the reason they wouldn't be the first for me is because they're going to end up with 2 top 5 draft picks. The Bears are going to turn this around real quick, and they're going to at least be a 4 or 5 win team next season easily, just based on the talent and the overhaul they're going to bring to this team during the offseason. I don't know if Justin Fields survives the offseason if they have the first overall pick. I don't know. They're not winning with him, and they need to find something to stabilize that franchise. And I don't know if Justin Fields is it. But Mo, I agree with you with the Denver Broncos because it's only going to get worse. This isn't going to get better anytime soon for Denver. And reports are out that at this time next season, Russell Wilson is not going to be the quarterback of the Denver Broncos. That's great. Mo, what the hell does that mean? Because he starts getting paid next season. So I don't know what you do with Russell Wilson. I mean, I guess the most not logical, but the most realistic possibility is you just draft a quarterback in the first round.
Right.
And that's who you start, and you bench Russell Wilson, and you pay him all that money to sit on your bench while you're not paying the rookie quarterback. Like, I don't know what you do with that because I don't know what the trade value for Russell Wilson is right now. Because if you say, well, wait a minute, Chris, there's going to be 3 or 4 teams that are going to want a quarterback. And my response to you is going to be, you're right. And they all suck right now. And they're going to get a quarterback in the draft because 3 or 4 decent quarterbacks coming out of this upcoming draft. So I think the teams that need a quarterback are going to address their quarterback need in the draft. And then those teams that aren't going to be bad enough to get a pick to get one of those quarterbacks, they don't want Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's in his 30s. That's not the future of their team. And
they don't want this version of him.
So I don't know what they do with Russell Wilson. I don't know. I don't know, Mo. I'm intrigued. I'm excited to see it.
It makes for a great story. Look, if let's say they trade him, but within the trade they agree to pay X amount of dollars anyway, right? Just to get him off the books, and he goes somewhere else. Look, it's going to be one of them kind of things where it could be one of those great reclamation stories, right? The guy that lost his job and everybody thought he was done starts the season out as a backup. Starter gets injured, steps back up, and leaves the team. I mean, it's set up to be a great story. I'm not saying it's going to end that way because more than likely it won't. I'm not rooting against Russ, but watching him play, he just looks like a guy who's lost all his confidence.
He's playing in
a shell.
This is what I meant to say yesterday, Mo. We talked about Ryan Tannehill, right? And we talked about how when Ryan Tannehill drops back, you almost see his body like a turtle kind of like come in itself.
Ready to give up.
Russ does that more. If you watch Bronco games, Russ all the time is folding into himself just to brace for the sack. It is cringeworthy to watch.
He is like you said, when they start seeing the rush, it's over. He's seeing and the thing is, he's a mobile quarterback. And,
not this year.
Right. He's got, and everybody talked about he lost weight, he got in great shape. He's all those things, but he's not using his legs. And it's very much what you said. I agree 100%. He's not looking downfield. He's looking at the oncoming rush. And when you start doing that, it's over.
Or maybe we're confused. Maybe he is looking downfield because the issue is they're calling for 4-yard passes. So the rush is essentially coming from right where he's supposed to throw the ball to. So it's kind of hard.
Well, that's another thing, right? They're 3rd and 6, and Peyton runs a 2-yard out. Like that was the play.
And then he's like, make a play to the receiver, make someone miss.
Right. And he's supposed to be a great play caller. But he's play calling. You can watch their games. He is play calling not to lose. Their playbook is as watered down as a high school playbook. And you either believe in the guy or you don't believe in the guy. And right now, their play calling says they don't believe in him.
And I would argue this, Mo, if the defense this year was the defense from last year, this offense might work. Because you would have the defense that's stopping people and not giving up 70 points and not making Justin Fields look like a Pro Bowl quarterback, if you were holding people to 15, 16 points a game like last year's defense did, the dink and dunk stuff that takes time off the clock would probably work. But when you're giving up 24, 30 points a game and your offense can't score 20 on a regular basis, what do you think is going to happen?
And that's another thing. Let's be fair, too. The offensive line has been up and down. The receiving core, I'm with Steve Smith.
Hey, be careful. Be careful. He'll come after you.
He could have handled it differently, but Steve Smith is right. Jerry Jeudy, I don't know. Well, no, I'll take that back. What I've seen so far is Jerry Judy's not a number one receiver. He's a good receiver, but he's probably a 2 or a 3. He's not a number one. They don't have a number one. They've got some good receivers. So I don't think they have as much talent overall on the outside either. So there's a struggle there, right? Your quarterback's not playing with a lot of confidence. Your offensive coordinator is playing a really watered down kind of offense. Everything, like you said, is just over the line of scrimmage. So you got Russell Wilson throwing his wide receivers, his tight ends, his running backs, nothing but medicine balls. They're not going to be fans of his. Nobody wants to be the receiver catching the ball and getting slammed every time you touch the football before you can make a move. But those are the way they're calling it. That's the way they're calling the game. And I'm not trying to cake up for Russ because he hasn't been good. And you pointed out something that I've watched a few of their games. He is covering up. He's folding up. He's bracing to be hit before he's even hit. And like I've been taught, that means the quarterback's done. You're looking at you saw it with Matt Ryan when Matt Ryan went to the Colts. Mm-hmm. Matt Ryan started just giving himself up before the rush even got to him because he was seeing the rush. He wasn't looking downfield. He was toast. And right now, Russell Wilson looks just like that. He looks like toast.
When it comes to the other side of the conversation, Mo, we got 5 teams. We have the Kansas City Chiefs, the Miami Dolphins in the AFC. Over in the NFC, it's the Eagles, the Niners, and the 49ers. They are all 5-1. Of the 5-1 teams, which one is the best in the NFL today?
I think the 2 best teams in the NFL are in the East, in the NFC East, and I'm not the NFC East, but in the NFC. I think it's the Eagles, and I think it's the Niners, and they both got their woes, but I think they're the 2 best football teams in the NFL. It's hard for me to choose. I'm biased. I'm a Niners fan. But what I will say is, just being fair, like we are in the morning show, the fact that the Eagles offense is still struggling and they're 5-1 makes them the scarier team. Because if they ever get the offense going to match what the defense is doing, they're going to take off.
I'm going to give a slight nod to the Eagles over the Niners for just the reason you said. The reason is they're 5-1. The offense doesn't look good yet. And we've seen Hurts overcome more adversity in games than Purdy just because he's had more opportunity to. Brock Purdy hasn't been put in a lot of adverse situations because they're usually winning games. Right. So we haven't seen Brock have to go through a lot of that stuff. So just because of that, I would give the Eagles a slight edge. The reason that I'm not going to consider, I would actually have Miami would probably be 3rd, Kansas City 4th, Detroit 5th. Miami and Kansas City, I question the offense for Kansas City. I question the defense for Miami. And then for Detroit, it is Jared Goff. And I love Jared Goff, but we got to see a little more before I want to start saying the Lions are the best team in the NFL. I love their defense, but we got to see more than 6 games from Jared Goff. But like you said,
fair.
The defenses for Philly and San Francisco are elite. On paper, they are easily the 2 best teams in the NFL. As long as they can stay healthy, there's no reason that shouldn't be the 2 teams that are vying for the NFC spot in the Super Bowl this year. But Mo, we have hit that time once again here on the morning show. We are about to wrap it up. Thank you so much to everyone who was in the chat this morning. We appreciate all of you. Thank you to everyone who was watching live on Roku TV. Mo, close us out, sir.
Thank you for everyone out there watching us. Check out all the content we have at Sports Empire Network. Smash that like button. Follow Sports Empire Network to get all our great content. Check out the Empire.
We'll be back here tomorrow, same time, same place, previewing Thursday night football. Make sure you check us out right here tomorrow. Coffee and Sports here on the morning show, here on Sports Empire Network. We'll see you then.
I mean, you can see right now, without LeBron, Lakers are struggling.
Let me tell you about the team I hate, all right? I know the Dallas Cowboy fan is here, so I had to make sure he knew how much I hate this team.
I'm ready.
I've often said that the people who run baseball, they try very hard to ruin it.
I'm from Brooklyn. I don't have a problem saying it to his face. Oh, I'm from Brooklyn. Hey, you guys any